My husband had 10 secret identities and 10 dead wives. Sarah's hands trembled as she stood at the cliff edge, wind whipping her hair across her face. Behind her, David's footsteps crunched closer on gravel. The champagne glass head handed her moments ago lay shattered on the rocks below, its drugged contents spilling into the ravine. She'd seen him slip the pills in. After 5 years of gaslighting and manipulation, she'd finally learned to watch his every move. "Sarah, honey, come away from the edge," David called out, voice dripping with false concern. "You're scaring me." She turned to face him, and for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid. The wire beneath her jacket pressed against her skin, recording everything. The GPS tracker in her pocket pulsed its silent signal to FBI agents hidden in the surrounding woods. This nightmare was about to end. But to understand how Sarah arrived here, we need to go back 5 years. Sarah Martins had been untouchable at 32. Youngest senior marketing director at her firm, 6-figure salary, fiercely independent after watching her mother's toxic marriage. She'd built walls around her heart. Then she met David Thompson at a charity gala. Tall, warm brown eyes, a smile that seemed to know secrets. He didn't approach her like other men with business cards and rehearsed lines. He asked about the abstract painting behind her and actually listened. "Most people see chows," Sarah had said, studying the violent red and black strokes. "But I see someone trying to break free." David smiled. "That's because you understand what it means to fight for your freedom." 3 months later, he proposed on a beach in Maui. 6 months after that, they married in a ceremony that made her friends cry. David seemed perfect, supportive, understanding. When she worked late, he brought dinner. When she doubted herself, he built her back up. "You're extraordinary," Sarah had whispered. "Never forget that." The first year passed in blissful happiness. David suggested combining finances. "We're building a life together," had said. "No more yours and mine. Just ours." Sarah transferred her savings and trusted him with investments. He was good with money, explaining cryptocurrency and stocks she didn't have time to manage. "You focus on your career," had said. "Let me handle the boring financial stuff." By their second anniversary, small things shifted. Sarah's best friend Mitchell stopped calling. When Sarah asked why, Mitchell's voice was cold. "You cancelled on me 6 times, Sarah. I got the message." But Sarah hadn't cancelled. She'd never received Mitchell's texts. David bought her a new phone that weekend, explaining hers had been glitching. So thoughtful. So caring. Work became stressful. A major client dropped her agency after receiving an unprofessional email Sarah supposedly sent. Her boss Patricia called her in, face grave. "Sarah, are you okay? Is something going on at home? I never sent that email. It came from your account." Patricia's expression was sympathetic but skeptical. "Maybe you should take some time off." That night, David held her as she cried. "I believe you, baby. I always believe you." 3 years in, Sarah found strange credit card charges. Cards she didn't remember opening. 12,000 on one. 25,000 on another. When she confronted David, he looked confused. "Sarah, you opened those last year for the bathroom renovation. Don't you remember?" "I would remember opening credit cards." His expression shifted to concern. "Honey, you've been forgetting a lot lately. Last week you couldn't remember our dinner reservation." Had she? Sarah's memory felt like Swiss cheese. She'd wake exhausted despite sleeping 8 hours. Simple tasks took enormous effort. "I think you should see someone," David suggested gently. "Maybe get checked for early onset Alzheimer's." By their 4th anniversary, Sarah had been demoted. Too many mistakes, forgotten deadlines, strange emails. She'd stopped seeing friends, stopped trusting herself. David was the only constant. "I'll never leave you," he promised. "No matter what happens, I'm here. Forever." Forever shattered on a Tuesday in October, 3 weeks before their 5th anniversary. Sarah came home early with a migraine. She took the medication David prepared but pumped the pills instead of swallowing. Instinct made her suspicious. At 2 a.m., she watched David open her laptop through slitted eyes. His face was cold, focused, nothing like her loving husband. When he returned to bed, she crept to her laptop. Her email showed messages she'd never written, scheduled to send horrible, unhinged content to colleagues at 6 a.m. She deleted them, heart hammering. Then she saw the browser history. Her char shunna ekhi depleted. Their savings emptied. And a piff that made her blood run cold, a $2 million life insurance policy in her name. She'd never signed it, but there was her signature. Sarah tore apart his office the next morning. In a locked metal box, she found a burner phone, a USB drive, and a passport with David's photo but a different name, Daniel Carter. The USB drive had folders. One with her name containing spreadsheets tracking her finances, screenshots of passwords, forged documents, and a file titled Key Timeline Key that laid out 5 years of her systematic destruction. There were 3 other folders. Jessica. Amanda. Rebecca. Sarah's hands shook as she opened Jessica's folder. The same pattern. Spreadsheets, passwords, forged documents. At the bottom, a death certificate for Jessica's sister from 7 years ago. Beneficiary, Daniel Carter. Amanda's folder was identical. Her sister died in a car accident 5 years ago. Beneficiary, David Mitchell. Rebecca's folder ended abruptly with a note, subject relocated. Unable to complete. Sarah ran to the bathroom and vomited. David wasn't just destroying her life. He was going to kill her. And had done it before. She couldn't go to the police with circumstantial evidence. She needed help. She typed into Google, survivors of financial abuse. In a forum, she found a thread from Jessica Naidui, has anyone been married to someone who systematically destroyed their entire life? Amandat's and Rebecca Zerviver had responded with similar stories. Sarah created a throwaway account, he's doing it to me right now. His name is David Thompson. Or Daniel Carter. Or David Mitchell. Within minutes, 3 women responded, we need to talk. Now. The video call changed everything. Jessica, Amanda, and Rebecca all recognized David from Sarah's wedding photo. When did you marry him? Rebecca demanded. 5 years ago this December. 5 years. You're right on schedule. He killed Amanda's sister at 5 years. I got out at 4 years because my ex-cop father ran a background check. Jessica leaned closer. Sarah, you are in immediate danger. That life insurance policy means you have maybe weeks. He's planning something that looks like an accident. I'm a lawyer now. We're going to bail the case and bury him. Over 2 weeks, Sarah lived a double life. She played the confused wife while documenting everything. She photographed his locked box contents, installed monitoring software, gathered financial records, and wore a hidden camera. Jessica connected her with FBI agent Torres, who was blunt, everything's circumstantial. We need a confession on camera. How do I get that? Torres smiled grimly. You let him think he's won. David announced their anniversary trip Monday evening. I've rented a cabin in the Cascades. Just you and me, completely off the grid. Sarah's blood ran cold, but she forced a smile. That sounds perfect. The woman strategized every detail. Sarah would wear a wire and Kicks tracker. FBI agents would be stationed near the cabin. All Sarah had to do was get David to confess. The drive took 4 hours. David was chatty, affectionate, the perfect husband. Sarah wondered how many women had sat in this passenger seat, unaware they were driving toward their deaths. The cabin was beautiful and isolated. No cell service, just as promised. But the Kicks tracker pulsed steadily. That evening, David poured wine and she saw him slip something into her glass. She pretended to drink, pouring most into a potted plant. Around midnight, she heard him outside on his phone. Everything's on schedule. The trail is set up. Authorities will find her at the bottom tomorrow afternoon after I've reported her missing. Distraught husband, history of mental instability, tragic accident. The next morning, David suggested a hike to a waterfall. They climbed for an hour until they reached a spectacular cascade surrounded by sheer cliffs. David led her to a rocky overlook jutting over the ravine. He pulled out champagne, popping the cork. This time, he didn't hide it. He tapped 3 pills into her glass, stirring them with his finger. He handed it to her. To our future. Sarah took the glass but didn't drink. Instead, she looked at him and let all her fear and rage show. There is no future, David. Or should I call you Daniel? His mask cracked. Then he laughed, cold and triumphant. When did you figure it out? Weeks ago. I found everything. Jessica, Amanda, Rebecca. I know what you did. David shrugged. Well, that's unfortunate. I really tried to make this painless, Sarah. You were so easy to manipulate, so desperate to believe in love. You're a monster. I'm a businessman. You were a transaction. 5 years of work, and that life insurance policy will clear nicely. By the time anyone questions anything, it'll be someone else, somewhere else. Like with Jessica's sister? Amanda's sister? Collateral damage. Elegant, really. Sarah needed more. How many women, David? He smiled. You're number 7. But only the 3rd I've had to kill. Rebecca got away. But you won't. David lunged. Sarah threw the champagne at his face and dove sideways. David wiped his ears, face contorted with rage. You think anyone will believe you? I've been building your instability for 5 years. Sarah pulled out the wire. Say hello to the FBI, David. His face went white. You're bluffing. Check your 6. David spun. Through the trees, tactical agents emerged, rifles raised. Agent Torres' voice amplified, David Thompson, you're under arrest. Get on your knees. David looked at the cliff, at the agents, at Sarah. Then his shoulders slumped. As they led him away, he looked back. You'll never be free of me. I'm in your head forever. Sarah met his eyes. No, you're just another mistake I'm going to recover from. The next 6 months were legal proceedings, therapy, and painful healing. The FBI uncovered 7 victims over 15 years. David had stolen over $4 million. 3 women were dead. The trial was extensive. All 4 women testified. The prosecution presented the ESP drive, forged documents, financial records, and the cliff recording. David's lawyers tried everything. Nothing stuck. The jury deliberated 4 hours before returning guilty verdicts on 3 counts of first-degree murder and multiple fraud charges. Life without parole. Sarah was in the courtroom when they read the verdict. She didn't cry or celebrate. She simply stood, turned, and walked out, leaving David and his promises behind. 6 months later, Sarah stood in front of a small office in Seattle, handing a saying, forever promised, resources for survivors of Coercive control. Jessica joined as legal counsel. Amanda ran outreach. Rebecca trained volunteers. Together, they'd created a lifeline for others trapped in similar situations. Their first client was Maya, who recognized her own relationship in their stories. She walked in terrified and walked out with a safety plan and hope. You saved my life, Maya whispered. No, Sarah replied. You saved your own life. We just helped you see you could. On what would have been her 6th anniversary, Sarah sat on her balcony watching the sunset. Her phone buzzed with a message from Mitchell, dinner tomorrow. I'm buying. Sarah smiled and typed back, absolutely. The nonprofit had helped 43 people in 6 months. 43 people who recognized coercive control patterns and found community. Sarah had started her own marketing consultancy, specializing in nonprofits. Her reputation was rebuilding through genuine excellence. Financial recovery had been brutal. David stole nearly $200,000. She'd declared bankruptcy and started over with nothing. But she was financially stable now, and that was enough. More importantly, she was free. Free from manipulation, from gaslighting, from constant erosion of reality. She could trust her perceptions again. The nightmares had faded. Her new apartment had 3 locks and a security system, but the hypervigilance had eased. She could walk alone without checking over her shoulder constantly. Sarah had even gone on a date last week with Marcus, who ran a bookstore and didn't push when she said she needed to take things slow. I like you, Marcus had said. No pressure. Just, I'd like to see you again. Sarah smiled. I'd like that too. It wasn't love yet. But it was possibility, and that was something David had almost stolen forever. If anything about Sarah's experience resonates with you, please know help is available. Coercive control and financial abuse leave no visible bruises but devastating psychological scars. Warning signs are often subtle. A partner who insists on managing all finances. Someone who slowly isolates you from friends and family. A person who makes you question your own memory. These behaviors escalate gradually until you're trapped in a reality someone else constructed. If you're experiencing this, you're not crazy. You're not overreacting. Trust that feeling. Document everything. Reach out to someone you trust. Call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. And to those who've never experienced this, watch for signs in people you care about. A friend suddenly always unavailable. A colleague whose performance inexplicably declines. Don't dismiss their concerns. Believe them and help them find resources. Sarah's story is fictional but based on real patterns documented by survivors. The tactics David used, gaslighting, isolation, financial manipulation, forced medication, forgery, are strategies employed by real abusers. But survival is possible. Recovery is possible. Sarah rebuilt her life from zero, and so can anyone trapped in this situation. It requires courage and support, but freedom is worth every difficult step. If this story resonated with you, please share it. Someone you know might recognize their own situation and realize they're not alone, they're not crazy, and escape is possible. Your share could save a life. If you found value in this story, please like this video. It helps more people find it. Subscribe for more stories exploring human behavior and survivor resilience. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts. Your story might be exactly what someone needs to hear to find courage to leave. Remember, Sarah's most powerful moment wasn't exposing David at the cliff. It was when she decided to trust her instincts despite years of gaslighting. It was when she reached out to other survivors and chose connection over isolation. It was every small act of resistance. Healing isn't linear. Sarah still has hard days. But she's free, building a life on her own terms. That's the real victory, not revenge, but reclaiming her existence. You deserve relationships that build you up, not tear you down. You deserve partners who respect your autonomy, friendships, career, and finances. You deserve to trust your own perceptions. If someone is systematically undermining those things, that's not love. That's control, and you don't have to accept it. Thank you for watching. Your attention to this difficult subject matters. Together, we can support survivors, hold abusers accountable, and prevent tragedies. If you need immediate help, resources are in the description. You don't have to face this alone. Thousands have walked this path before you, and they're reaching back to help pull you through. Stay safe, trust yourself, and remember, you're stronger than you know. Until next time.